Hey everybody, today is August 31st, 2015, and today I just want to talk a little bit about the Ford Explorer fan swap on the Jeep Grand Cherokee ZJ. This video is going to address a couple of concerns some people had about the fan. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, I'm shooting this video with my phone, which I recently upgraded to Android 5.1.1, which improved the camera quality. So I want to go ahead and use this since it has autofocus, unlike my regular ZI6 cameras. So anyways, some of you guys on Jeep Forum have wondered about the spacer, concerned about how it can throw the fan out of alignment and cause damage to the water pump bearings over time. Well, let's see if I can get a good focus on the center of the fan down there. It's kind of hard to see. I did take a picture earlier, but the actual spacer itself, the inner hole of the spacer, is completely lined up with the hole in the back of the fan. Also, those 4 bolts you see, the holes in the spacer are exactly the same size, I would say, as the holes that these bolts protrude to in the fan clutch and the fan itself. So it makes lining up very easy. And I've been running this for quite a while now with this particular setup, you know, the YA220 fan with the spacer. It brings it back far enough to not allow it to run into the shroud, or at least I haven't had that problem yet. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully that solved it, because it did bring the fan back roughly, I think, 1.5 centimeters, I want to say. So let's see if you can look at my phone to keep focusing on that idler. Maybe get a better look from the bottom. So anyways, there's a second thing I want to address as well. Now that we got the spacer and the fan alignment issue out of the way, I know some of you have actually come across an OEM fan that was used by Chrysler on 98 model ZJs, California models. I think it was actually a technical service bulletin upgrade fan. It was an 11 blade fan that's actually made by Eaton, which I actually have a fan for a Chevy S10 that looks similar to it. Same kind of blade design, but the blades on the ends are not sloped in for this conical style shroud. I know some of you have tried that fan. I know one user on the Jeep Forum, 94 Grand 52, has tried both the Explorer fan and the Eaton fan. Has actually had better results with the Eaton fan. With the Ford fan, like this one here. And there's 2 reasons I think behind that. First reason will be that the blades on this fan have much more grab, I guess you can say. They're much bigger and can pull a bit more air. Second of all, they're a little bit large. They're a little bit larger, but the fan itself, probably due to the fact that it's not designed for a conical shroud, we have to space it back a little bit. The blades themselves, the way they're designed, I think, is what actually helps this fan pull more air than the TSB Eaton fan. Because literally, the tips of these blades are about the same size as the blades on the stock 5-blade fan. Another thing I think may help this fan do a little better is you notice how it fits very tight in the shroud. Yes, it fits very tight. Just look how close it is to the bottom. Yes, that's how it's been. It does not collide on the bottom end, because when you start off, if you do a jackrabbit start, the engine will actually shift up and over toward the passenger side a little bit. Come on, refocus. So there's that side. Now if you look at the right hand side, you may notice there's, let it focus again, you can see there's a bit more spacing on the passenger side of the shroud versus the driver's side. And here you can probably get a better view of the size of the blades on that fan. Now the fan is actually pretty loose on the clutch right now. The fan clutch itself is pretty loosened up. You know, it's only I drove this thing earlier today. It was only about 80 degrees, and didn't have the AC on. This fan itself, the only time it really gets loud, you know, and when it full on engages, is when it's hot and you have the AC running. It can be 81, 82 degrees outside, and you get stuck in traffic, and it might come on for about a second or two you'll actually hear it for maybe a second or two after you go from a dead stop, but other than that, it freewheels pretty much. Because I tell you, it seems like these things, these ZJs with the V8, they suffer from the running hot issue mostly when the AC is running. It's almost like they designed this cooling system without really giving any sort of thought to the AC. So I'm going to go and crawl from under here. Oh, that asphalt is hot. The other thing before I close the hood on this thing is I'm sure some of you guys have wondered about the fan itself. You know, these Ford Explorer fans, how they get cracks in them. Really, if you decide to pull a used one, I mean, it's okay for these to have a little bit of, you know, have some stretch cracks in them. It's perfectly normal for these fans to get some sort of, you can probably see them, you know, along. Now, there's actually a little bit bigger one there. But as long as they're not seriously deep, I mean, it's fine. I mean, you just think of how many Ford Explorers are out there on the roads today with these fans. You don't really hear too much about them rupturing their fans. Now, yes, on the older models, I think they did have a different kind of plastic, and they were even worse. They were even more prone to actually cracking and things like that. The one thing I like about the Explorer fan is the fact that the plastic is sort of a softer material. So in the case where your fan does actually collide with your shroud, you have less of a chance of really tearing up your fan clutch and your water pump. I mean, that same fan clutch, this is the same fan clutch I've been using with the Explorer fans ever since I started the whole project itself. And if you look carefully in the shroud, I don't know if you can see it there or not, you might be able to see some of the carve marks in the shroud. I mean, there was one time this thing took a deep carve into this shroud. But you can barely tell by looking at the fan. I mean, the plastic, although it is soft and it bends pretty easily, I'd say it's pretty tough. I mean, the fan survived that, and I mean, it still works just fine. No problems at all. I think this is single-handedly probably the most, you know, the easiest and best upgrade you can do for the stock cooling system on one of these. Yes, electric fans are nice. The 5.9 limits come with them from the factory, but when you deal with electric fans, you deal with sensors, you deal with relays, you deal with wiring. And for those of you who say, oh, they free up horsepower, yeah, they do when they're not actually in use, but on hot days when they come on, they put a big load, not on the Drakeland engine itself, they put a big load on your electrical system. And guess what generates the power for our electrical system? Yeah, your alternator. And what turns it? Yes, the engine. So, really, when your electric fans are on and running, you're not really saving that much horsepower. I mean, considering this fan here does pull a good bit of air even at idle. You know, it's a really easy to do upgrade. So for those of you who have not seen what the Eaton fan looks like, I'll show you one. So anyways, let's go show you an Eaton fan. I'm going to show you the one that comes off of a Chevrolet S10. Okay everybody, here is an Eaton 11 blade fan. This one is actually for General Motors. It's used on some of the older, actually the newer S10s with the 4.3 liter V6. It's also used on some Chevrolet Express vans. It was also used on the Chevy Astro vans. 11 blades, 19-inch diameter. So it's a bit bigger than the Eaton fan that was designed for Chrysler to be used on the later models Jeep ZJs and some of the earlier Jeep Liberties. Now basically, this is pretty much the same exact blade design as the fan that's commonly used. Well, basically the Eaton fan that was used as the technical service bulletin upgrade fan for the ZJ. The difference between this fan and that fan is that one is, I believe, 18 inches, and from just about here, the blades actually slope down a bit. Now, if I was really, really good at modifying things, well, I'm good at modifying things, but if I really wanted to, try something, I could probably cut these blades to size to match that TSP fan, but you risk running the fan out of balance, and that can mess up your water pump. So this is actually what it looks like. The only difference being this one is 19 inches, and it was not designed for a conical shroud. Basically, the blades don't slope in toward the center. Now, I think this fan here actually will fit a WJ Grand Cherokee. For those who have the WJ that didn't come with a mechanical fan, you wish to add one. If you'd rather not put the crappy 5-blade in, you could probably fit one of these in. There's actually an article on a different forum about how to do this. So for those who are curious, there's your GM part number, and of course there's the Eaton logo. If you look at the Chrysler fan, you'll have the Chrysler emblem up here, the part number, and Eaton in the same exact spot, really. Now let's see when this thing was made. I do see some date stamps on here. It looks like January of, well, I can't really tell, maybe January of 2002? Yeah, they still had S10s back then. Well, actually, this fan here actually came off of an Astro. I think they still made Chevy Astros back then. Not exactly sure. So yeah, that's sort of what the TSP fan looks like for the Jeep. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe answer some questions for you. Anyways, thanks for watching.